So you could just have one mentor in hypnosis, or you could also have 30 plus mentors in hypnosis. This is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast, session number 42 with Eugen Popa, Mentors in Hypnosis.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
Hey there, welcome back. It's Jason Linett here, and I'm excited to share this program with you today featuring Eugen Popa. I've been meaning to have Eugen on this program ever since I started the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast. As you'll hear from the recording, Eugen hails from Romania. When I first met him, he was actually living in Thailand at the time, which of course means I first met Eugen when he was in Clinton, Tennessee. Yeah, really. We were actually both attending the NGH Certified Instructor training with Captain Ron Esslinger out there. So really unique experience to, first of all, travel and hang out with Captain Esslinger, but then also meeting Eugen as part of that experience as well. So someone who I've got to know over the years, someone who I've been definitely interacting with, we've kept up, we've connected at conventions. And this project that we're going to be talking about, on one side of things, I'm just excited for him. It's a really cool project, little similar in terms of the podcast structure here, but with what he's gone into, he put together a specific series of questions that he asked a very select group of people that for the most part were also then referring each other. You got to talk to this person, you got to talk to that person. I'm part of the project as well, so there's an extended interview with me and some of my thinking in terms of the hypnosis profession and what we do, and then a bunch of other folks as well, some of which you've also heard here. But the format of what he's doing, that's what really makes this unique. Videos, downloads, transcripts, and eventually a book will be a part of this as well. You're going to hear all about it in this program. Make sure you listen towards the very end, because there's a promo code that we're going to mention that actually gets you this program at a massive discount. Though I'd comfortably tell you the amount of quality content that I've already seen in an advanced preview and I've been interacting with, this thing should have been a much higher cost. So the investment is low, and I haggled Eugen down. We got a nice little promo code for you as well. Whether you interact with his program or not, I know you're going to find this program today that I've got with him very interesting. Let me give you two website links to be aware of, just with some helpful information. First of all, Eugen's website, eugenpopa.com, spelled exactly as you would think. Okay, now I'll spell it out for you. EUGENPOPA.com. That's his website, eugenpopa.com. And then the project we're here talking about is Mentors in Hypnosis, which very simply is mentorsinhypnosis.com. Let's jump right in with Eugen Popa.
So I went to this workshop on publishing a book. And the guy was talking about, you can write a book and you can do this and you can do that and you can talk to some people in the business, in your business, whatever that business is. And it's like, let me think about it. And so on one Wednesday morning, I remember the time. If I look up, I can even tell you the date. And I remember leaving that place and I said, well, this is like the best morning I've had the entire year, because it was packed with information. There were some guys previously talking about Facebook advertising, and I know you're doing something on Facebook advertising, which I think is great, because a lot of people don't know how to do Facebook advertising, and I know your stuff would be awesome. And after that, there was this guy who came up. His name was Jerry Roberts, and I want to mention him because he really is, probably the direct or indirect cause for this whole project. So he talked about writing a book, and it's like, what should I do? And then he mentioned, talking to some friends and peers in the business. Oh, well, let me talk to Jason about it. And that's when I contacted you and I said, hey, I'm working on this project. Would you like to be part of it? And before I finished the sentence, you said yes. And so that got me thinking. So I said, well, this is cool. And then I contacted Tom Nicoli, and he was like, wow, right, so let's do this, So I contacted a few other guys, and every single person I contacted said yes. Like I said, well, maybe with one or two exceptions. And then I said, well, we started as a book project, and I was talking to people about the book, but then it kind of started to grow in and by itself. it was like unfolding right before my eyes, and quote unquote, kind of lost control over it, but it was rather it was leading me.
Mm-hmm.
And so from then on, I did a lot of interviews. Right now, I think until now, I've done like 30 or 35, almost, roughly. And then, like I said, it changed into, a project where people can go online and watch these interviews. And I think it's great value for the amount of money people would pay, because you get like 30 plus people from all over the world, mostly US, that's true, but also from Australia, also from Canada, from South Africa, from UK. And I was talking to Roy Hunter, who's also part of the project, and he actually wrote something very nice. He said, this is centuries of experience in one place.
Yes.
And that's true, because, if you put head to head, all the people who are part of the project and the number of years they put together, it is hundreds of years of experience. And so basically that's how I started. Started as a kind of a book project. The book is still in the working, actually. I'm planning to finish it by the end of July and have it ready for the NGH convention and the HypnoThoughts Live convention. And those actually who will sign up for Mentors in Hypnosis will actually get a further discount off the book. So the book price will be, I don't know what right now, I don't have a clear number, but for sure those who are purchasing a membership on mentorsinhypnosis.com website will have a discount when the book is out.
So let me ask you this, because I'm always curious to chat about it from this perspective, that for the most part, and correct me on this, you went into this project with the goal to interview 30 plus people, and for the most part, you had the same questions for everybody.
Yes, the questions are for everybody, and 90% the same for everyone. And the reason is because, of course, I'm totally biased on these questions, right? I didn't do a survey and say, hey, what are the most common questions? I got to say, these were questions which I had myself when I started doing hypnosis, and even today, and after a while, I've been pressing for a while, and I still have some of those questions, and I wanted to have answers to these questions.
Well, similar to that, I just asked you that question because I wanted to know, because, with the podcast here, I've been talking to about 30, 40 plus people over the last almost a year now. Yeah. And just, again, it's interesting to hear the same question can get so many different responses, similar to how we all work in hypnosis, that we all have our individual styles. You and I have a lot of crossover in terms of trainings and opinions, but I'm sure we do things very different from each other.
For sure. And, sometimes I got some answers that completely and totally challenge the status quo in the world of hypnosis. Some people say, well, you cannot change this or that. And other people say, well, I've done that the other day. I completely changed something. Some people say, never do regression. Other people say, always do regression. Mm-hmm. And never do this method. Or others say, only do this method. It's crazy, and it's great, because one thing which I noticed, though, one of the common denominators, I would say, that I've noticed is that almost everyone say, go and study with as many as you can. Mm-hmm. And I love that, because even, people who start practicing hypnosis so often get stuck in, this is the only way to do it. And it's not. There's no such thing as the only way to do it. That's my opinion, my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'd share the experience of class that's going on right now at my center. That person was asking, why do you have the pain training from these two people? And the answer was because they don't agree with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Which one's right? They both are. It depends on the person, the client who's in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
So, of course, about 10 minutes in, let's put you on the spot. I'm curious to ask, what surprised you going through this project? And again, just to recap it, this is a project that you've put together interviewing 30 plus people in hypnosis, names that people very likely recognize, perhaps a few that they're about to meet as well.
Yeah.
What surprised you going into this?
I think the biggest surprise and the most pleasant of all, actually, it was the willingness to do it. I would not even call it willingness. I would call it the excitement to do it. Like I said, almost every single person I've talked to, and they understood what the idea is about. They were excited. It's like, wow, that's a great idea. That's a great project. I'm looking forward. I'm thrilled. And also during the interviews, it's so wonderful to see people opening up. Even, some of the questions are very touchy towards the end of the interview, but also along the interview. Mm-hmm. Some of the questions are very touchy, and they're, almost getting personal. But I believe that in order for someone to be a really good hypnotist, they really have, and a really good person, if I may even expand on that, is it's good to know the plus and the minus, the ups and the downs of those who've gone before us. I like to think of mentors in hypnosis, what they say, what Isaac Newton said, I see further because I stand on the shoulder of giants. And I see this project very much in the same words. Those are, the giants in the world today. And everyone can learn, and one other thing which surprised me very much, besides their excitement, besides their willingness to openly share the highs and the lows, the best and the worst of their career, was also a third aspect is those mentors that I've contacted and I've spoken and I've interviewed, they say, can I have access to the site and see the others? Because I want to learn from the others.
Yeah.
And that was like, wow, I gotta love this world. I love this business and I love this atmosphere because I didn't have this, I'm the best and the rest is like, nothing to count. No, actually, people who've been doing hypnosis for 30, 40 years, they're like, I'm curious what others would say. I want to hear what others would say, So, yeah, I'm very excited and surprised by this attitude.
Well, I share that from the perspective of putting together this podcast, putting together the series that I do.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to if you listen to anyone else who does programs like this. And who am I thinking of? Back in the days of Mark Maron is a comedian who does a really cool podcast called WTF, and it stands for exactly what you think. But it's really cool to see sort of the lineage of he's there interviewing an actor and they go, oh, you should talk to this person. And there's something fun about the fact that, hey, that's now recorded now, and that creates a bit of an obligation on one side. But the way that people then begin to reach out to you to be a part of something like that, it's an interesting comment. My scope in the last year or so has been about how do we increase that reach? How do we spread this awareness? How do we stop practicing within a bubble and pretend that only this one community of people exists when there's people all over, within groups, some without of groups. I mean, I'm looking at the lineup here on your mentorsinhypnosis.com page, and just such a wide spread of people from all different experiences.
For sure. And one of the questions is, who are your mentors? And just the other day I was interviewing Richard Nongard. And it was so funny because, he spoke about his early days mentors. And then he said, well, but I have mentors, people that I've learned through, like, Scott Sandland and then Jason Linett and Kelly T. Woods. And I was like, wow, that's great because all of those names are in this list, they're on the website. It's like, wow, good for me, good for everyone who's listening because all the names he mentioned were part of the project. And so, it's very gratifying to me to see that I've done something right with this project, and I loved it.
Yeah, there was a project that was done, I forget when this was done. At one point, I had an interest in magic and mentalism stuff, and a guy by the name of Ben Cummings, who I believe actually is also a stage hypnotist, if I'm remembering right, put together a project called Conversations with Mind Readers. And it's actually still available for those of you listening to this that do have an interest in those other studies.
Yeah.
But it was a cool thing because, again, a similar format of interviewing 30-plus people, and it's that long-form interview process as opposed to what we'd see on like a late-night talk show where everything is rehearsed and perfectly timed.
Yeah.
It's that raw. I mean, you asked me some questions throughout that I was surprised to get, yet very happy to share because it's something that some of the challenges that I went through growing in this profession are ones that others would face as well.
Absolutely. And, there are a couple of people who wanted to have the questions beforehand. And I like to come with the question as it comes rather than knowing beforehand what the question is. Because if you have it beforehand, sure, on one hand you can say, well, if I have the question beforehand, I'll be able to give you a better answer when we come to it, when we do the interview. But on the other hand, the best answer is the best answer when you give it. And there's that natural flow, and there's that, you ask people to come up with something, and then they come up with something, and the naturalness, if I would say, of the flow of the interview has an intrinsic value. And I prefer it that way.
Exactly. So let's rewind things back. What is it that first got you into hypnosis? Hey, no one's interviewing you for your project. Why not?
Yeah, I know, I know. I was asked this a few times. If I were doing this, and if I would include myself in the project, and I don't know if I want to do that, but maybe I will. I don't know. I'm still on the fence with it. What got me into hypnosis? Well, I've always been fascinated by the mind. Always. Ever since I know myself, I've been fascinated with the mind. And as you know, I'm also doing a side business on parenting because I was fascinated with the mind, with the brain and its functions, and I wanted to see how the brain develops. And then you take the brain from the moment it starts to form, which is in the womb and then later years and so on. And of course, just like everyone else, hypnosis was something mystical and magical. And then some years in 2000, like middle of 2000 or late 2000, I took a few NLP trainings, and there was the Milton model in that thing. And I was like, oh, interesting, hypnosis. Let me dig a bit deeper. And I started to look it up, and then I started to search the internet for hypnosis courses, and I found a few trainers out there, and then I decided to go with one of them. And then I did. And before I actually went to the class, my initial training was with Jerry Kine. And one of the reasons is because he was all over the place, all over the internet with his home study course, which I got. And I watched his home study course a couple of times. And then I said, I got to go and train with this guy. So I flew to Florida, and day one of the training, I think, was the most eerie day in my life. And I tell you why. Because if you watch Jerry Kine's videos of his home study course, all of the videos are shot from the same angle, from the back of the room, and he's up front. Mm-hmm. And when I went to his course, where did I sit? At the back of the room, just where the camera would have been. And when he comes in the course, in the class, and he says, hello, everyone, and starts talking, and he says the same spiel as he would do on the video. In my head, I was like, am I in Florida, on the chair in his classroom, or am I on my sofa in Bucharest back home? And I was like switching back and forth between the two places. I could almost switch in my head. I'm in Florida, I'm in Bucharest. I'm in Florida, because it was, I'm telling you, I was spaced out for like 2 or 3 days. It was just amazing. And it was one of the best trainings I've taken. I have a few others which I really, really love. All of them I love because I learned so much from all of them. But that was the first training. So, of course, it stuck with me in a special way.
So then what makes up the most of your time these days in terms of just what you're doing?
Well, right now I'm full power working on this project. And it's very interesting because starting this project got me thinking about I have about 2 spin-offs from this project, which I'm planning on pursuing. But first I want to launch this. And so most of the time now is finishing up on the website, clearing up the transcripts, videos, editing, and just getting ready to launch in a couple of days. So this is what it is now. After that, I'll be traveling around the world teaching trainings in Brazil and in Europe, and then hopefully, see you guys in US in August.
Awesome. And we wanted to do a bit of a promo here for the people who are actually listening here right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If not, you are now.
All right. So for anyone and everyone who's listening this podcast from Jason Lynette of Virginia Hypnosis, we have a promo, and that is by you listening to this podcast, you get a 25% discount by signing up with mentorsinhypnosis.com. So basically the official price is $129, but by using this code, which I'm going to say in 3, 2, 1, work smart. So use this code, work smart, and you'll get a 25% discount when you sign up on Mentors in Hypnosis. And that is starting now, basically.
Cool. So let me ask you this. We'll make it general for this purpose.
Yeah.
What do you feel, and this is the most wide open question I can ask you, what do you feel is the real benefit of someone, whether it's a podcast series like mine, whether it's your program, whether it's going to these conventions, what would you say is that real benefit of someone reaching beyond perhaps, let's say it as their comfort zones in terms of what they already know? Someone in hypnosis stretching and listening to others. What would you say is the real benefit of that?
Well, I'll give you a slightly indirect answer to this. My motto is learn, grow, share. So if people are listening to this podcast, that means that they are interested in learning, they're interested in growing, they're interested in being better, smarter, faster, whatever you want to call with ear in the end. So if people are interested in learning, they will go and search for information. And podcasts like yours, mentorsinhypnosis.com, and any other sites of that matter, they are a resource. They are a resource for people who want to know more, who want to learn more, who want to expand their knowledge, their toolbox, and their experience. And they can do so by listening or watching people who've done this before them, who've already gone through the hoops. So the number one thing that you gain by going the extra mile is you gain knowledge, you gain experience, and of course, also you gain extra tools that you can use either for your personal betterment or for helping others. I have a saying, and it goes like this: if we stop learning, we start dying. And I don't want to die.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at WorkSmartHypnosis.com.
Hey, it's Jason Linett here, and I want to thank you for listening to the program today. If you're a regular listener, chances are you know that I usually wait to the very end of the program these days to share with you a little bit of promotional content, though I want to yield that time today and actually point back to this program that we've just spent some time talking about. Head over to mentorsinhypnosis.com. There's a promo code that we just created, Work Smart, and by entering that, it gets you a massive discount off of this project. It's a fabulous project with a lot of great information and definitely bridging some gaps, building some bridges between different organizations and different people out there. This thing is awesome. I know you're going to find a lot of great value in it, and there's a lot of really cool moments where you get to hear some real learning lessons from people in terms of what got them started, the information that if you have that, you get to learn from that benefit as well. So mentorsinhypnosis.com. When you get to the checkout page, enter in Work Smart. That's going to get you a massive discount. And while you're at it, of course, you're always welcome to head over to the iTunes page for Work Smart Hypnosis, this podcast, and leave your feedback. Your reviews help us grow this program. Hey there, it's Jason, and I want you to be one of the first to find out as we upload amazing new content. So do this right now. Click the subscribe button right here on this video. That's going to link you to our YouTube channel here, and you will be the first to find out as new resources and downloads are made available. Do it now.